This month's monthly meetup, we discussed how to create habits that last for us and for our children. So often we're trying to support our children in adopting new behaviors or new habits. And this time of year, we're often focusing on ourselves and what new habits and new resolutions we can have in starting the new year. So I thought this topic was a pretty appropriate topic to start off 2022. Last year, when I did the monthly meetups, I did incorporate what we spoke about and I did record our meetings. But this year, I decided to do it a little differently, and I'm not going to be recording our meetings anymore because I want to leave room for more open dialogue and respecting the privacy of those who can join. I don't want to record it. So what I will do is after our meetings, I will give you a summary, which is what I'm doing right now, about what we talked about in key points. So creating new habits for us and for our kids sounds easy, not always easy to do. I want to give you a few tips that I have found really have helped in my life, as well as for my kids and the kids I've worked with. Now, one of the things that I'm working with right now with my son is a typing program. And his goal is to get faster at typing. Now, we bought a program that's proven to help increase speed of typing. He has started to do it, but of course, it's not very fun, not very engaging, and takes practice, which is sometimes hard for our kiddos, right? A lot of our kids now are used to things happening right away and seeing immediate results. So how do we help our kids in doing things that they may not always want to do? And how do we make it so those things that they are doing, we're not nagging them all the time, right? They have more responsibility and a role in carrying over and actually doing the habit or the behavior that we're asking of them. So Max has started this new typing program, and it has been a challenge to get him to continue to do it on a daily basis because it's not fun. So in looking at ways I could support him in doing this new habit, this new program, I was exploring different modalities. What does it take to create a habit or to follow through with a new behavior or a new task and doing it successfully? This is what I found out, and this is what I want to share with you. So one of the number one things that we can do is we can, when we're starting something new, start small. Success breeds success. If we start a venture that is too overwhelming for us and too overwhelming for our kids, they're going to get discouraged. It's going to be too hard, and they're going to quit. I really see this often with our kiddos because a lot of our children with various challenges and it's harder for them to do certain tasks than for others. And sometimes we don't always realize we want them to be here, but they're here. And so when we're giving them a task, sometimes even the middle spot is too much. Sometimes we have to do steps. So when we're helping our child to start something new, start small, little things so they can feel successful. So this typing program, he's starting small. He's only doing 1 or 2 lessons a day because I want him to feel successful. So it's that just right challenge. As an occupational therapist, when we're working with kids and we're helping them to do an activity, either with more independence or with more success, we call it the just right challenge, to where we may be adapting the activity in such a way that it's making them exert a little bit more effort, right? But they're still successful in doing it. And this is what I want you to consider when you are trying to help your child to do something, a new behavior or a new habit, as well as yourself. Start small, be successful. The second thing to consider when we're wanting our child to start something new or helping them to change something is motivation. We all do things, if we want to do things, we're more likely to follow through than if we should do things. Think of your New Year's resolution. I should eat better. I know I maybe need to eat better, but that want isn't always there. And I know for our children, they're not always going to want to do things. So sometimes we have to add in a little motivator. I do really try to encourage internal motivation because I really do feel setting children up to the feeling of success is a wonderful internal motivator that many of our children don't have. A lot of our children are used to those external motivators. All right, you do this, you get a lollipop or you get a treat, right? It's all external. And then actually, if you think about it, if we're giving them food when they do well, what are we encouraging? If something goes good, go eat, right? And have a dessert. So we just have to watch with what we're using to motivate our children. So one of the things that I really do, like I said, is try that intrinsic motivator. And when we start small and give them those little increment steps to success, every time they do that with the success, they are feeling good about it. And I really try to relish in that and help them to feel even stronger about that. Congratulate them. Be specific on what they've just done and how proud you are that they did that. And the next thing that I want you to consider is when doing something new, build it into something you do already. Because it's hard to remember new things. How many things in a day do we have to remember? It's the same thing for our kids. And so for this typing program, it was very challenging because I would forget to remind him. He would forget to do it. And by the end of the day, 8:30, he didn't do that. He's too tired. This is definitely not the time to make him do it. And then we didn't get to do it that day. And then he feels bad about not being able to do it or not getting it done. And he doesn't get that feeling of success. I did it. So what we did is we integrated that into his daily routine. So we said, as soon as you flip open your computer during the day, I want you to do the typing program first. Then you can watch a video or you can play your game or you can do your homework. So we integrated it where that was an automatic thing that we added into something he does every single day. And that helped him to remember. And then it took the pressure off of me of always nagging to do something, to do it, to do that new habit. So that's the third thing. Integrate changes into something you're already doing, okay? And we covered one more thing that I want to add in that I think is really helpful is that praise and that positive reinforcement. And I want to give you a story of how these 3 steps worked with Max. So as I said, we were working on having him do this typing program because he wants to get faster at typing. About 3 days in of doing the techniques I just showed you, the keeping it small and making sure the steps are attainable, increasing motivation. So I added, and I didn't mention this earlier. So the motivating part was, and I'll explain to you, you'll see in a minute what his internal motivator was. But the external is, I did say when he finished a module, so I think there's 30 lessons in a module. And when he finished a module, he loves Kinder Egg. So I said I would get him a Kinder Egg. So we did do a treat. Like I said, I just want you to be mindful of giving food as a treat, but it is okay to do if that's something they desire or they want. So for Max, it's everyone has, their different ways of rewarding. So for Max, that is one thing he has become used to and he really enjoys. So I allowed him to choose what he wanted for when he finished the module. So I think that's really important, is allowing our children to choose what's going to be my reward. And you can give them options. It doesn't always have to be, it could be going to your favorite park. It could be going to the water park. It could be going to the climbing wall. It could be doing things. It could be Game night, your child gets to pick whatever game they want. They get to facilitate it. So you can have different rewards. And then the third thing was integrating into the routine. So day number 4 into this, Max looks at me and he said, I need to teach my brother this. And I said, what? He said, I've gone 4 days. I've remembered each day to do the typing. He's like, it feels really good. And I could just see in his face, in his energy, how proud he was of himself. And our kids need these opportunities to feel successful doing something on their own. And this was really important for me. So that was his internal motivator, was I feel good when I do this, instead of me yelling when he doesn't, right? And that's typically what is happening. We're trying to motivate him by yelling at him and getting him to do something. So trying to reframe that. So he was so proud of that. But he wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't give him the steps to help him to be successful. And we all have days where we forget, right? We go off the diet, or, we go back to an old routine or a habit. And when that happened with him, or when that does happen, we don't get down on ourselves. We do what's called review and redo. This is a wonderful technique that I really like to incorporate in many different things. So if he forgot, I think 2 or 3 days, and was over the weekend, and I came to him, I said, oh, Max, you know what? We haven't done the typing. You haven't done the typing in 2 days. He goes, yeah, I forgot. Once together, I said, well, let's review what happened and let's see what you can redo for next time, so you don't miss those 2 days. And he and I together reviewed what happened. And he said, well, it was the weekend and I was off of my normal routine, and so I didn't do those. And so it takes the feeling of guilt and shame on him, and it looks at the situation, what happened in the situation. So I said, okay, well, what can we do next time so that doesn't happen? He said, well, maybe next time I'll set an alarm, so on the weekends it goes off too, just in case I didn't do it, to remind me. So do you see how he is involved in this process too of creating that new habit? It's not me telling him, he's actively involved. So this is what we did to help Max in creating a new habit. As we move forward in the new year and we're looking at new behaviors and new habits, let's remember, tiny steps, start small. Make sure we can do those steps, or achievable steps. Make sure we have motivators in place to reward ourselves when we do it, because a lot of times we don't reward ourselves for the great things or the good things that we're doing. And the last one is make sure, work it into a routine. Make a plan where success is much more likely. So that is what we covered in this month's monthly meetup. I hope you enjoyed these tips, and we'll continue next month on our topic of how to create calm, compassionately with our children when feeling stressed or overwhelmed. So that will be our discussion next month in February. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I hope to see you next month. Thank you.